I'm most free at that point because I can say whatever, I can do whatever. I'm not held to somebody's opinion. You
Hmm.
can't tell me to cut and say that over. It's my thoughts, my microphone, my time. You know what I mean? On
Yeah.
set, I'm on somebody else's time, somebody else's dime, and
Hmm.
I'm on. Usually, I gotta say your words the way you want me to say them. So, and I'm not saying it any differently, but I think that stand up for me is when I feel the most free.
Who is Rob Gordon?
Rob Gordon is a comedian, actor, entrepreneur, father, son, businessman.
When did you realize that your humor would turn into a career for you?
I didn't. I think comedy kind of chose me. I think it had to been probably my redshirt sophomore where I was a junior in college, or redshirt sophomore year at football. I was playing football at Hampton University.
Hmm.
I got hurt and went home, had a conversation, and then kind of comedy kind of was put to me by one of my best friends, one of my close friends at that time, and my god brother. And then from there, been kind of doing it ever since.
You're
Never let
currently on tour doing the Something to Prove tour.
something to prove tour, self funded, self produced. Um, Uh, got that going on right now. Got a movie out called Million to One on
Yep.
Amazon Prime and all streaming platforms. Also have a show coming out on, well, it's already out, but the second season is coming out December 7th.
Yep.
Uh, it's called Hush. It's on All Black right now. Um, so just working. Problematic, which is out on Amazon as well. My
Yes.
first ever stand up special. So we working.
Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about your stand-up special real quick? You said self-produced, self-funded. What did you do to get to that point to self-fund your own stand-up comedy show?
It was a split actually. Me and Harold Jackson actually co-produced that together.
Okay.
Um, but it was it was a lot of hard work. I mean, I had been working consistently for 10 years, 9 years, well, 9 years at that time. But I'm 11 years in comedy, so it's been out for 2 years. So yeah, about I would say 9 years consistently. Every single night I would do stand up. I mean, it was nights that I missed functions, family gatherings, birthday parties. You know what I'm saying? I was at the comedy club. That was what my focus was, and you know, for a large part of my, you know, my young adult, my 20s, I would say late teens. 'Cause I started when I was 17, 18. So from 18 to 20, shoot, when did I shoot the special at 30? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I spent in the comedy club. So, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't by happenstance that somebody was like, oh, yeah, we're going to give you a shot. No, that ain't how that worked. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. Like you said, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time spent away to hone your craft and to perfect your comedy skills and being comfortable on stage. Right.
Yeah, and I bought a car. This is a true story. I bought a car, brand new Honda. It was 2009. No, it might have been a 2013 car. It was brand
Uh-huh.
new at that time. I put 400,000 miles on that car, and it died.
400,000 miles. How did you even get to? How did you even get to 400,000, man?
Put 400,000. I mean, I would take trips back and forth to New York. I would go up to New York like it was, you know, at that time I was living in D.C. I was going to New York like it was Upper Marlboro. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so I was taking that trip, man. I would do five. I would go to work, leave work at probably like I would work like the morning shift or whatever, and then I would leave at like 5. I would get on the
Hmm.
highway, drive to New York, get to New York because at that time it was like 3.5 hours, 4 hour trip. I get to New York like 9:30,
Hmm.
do a show in Manhattan, do a show in Brooklyn, leave Brooklyn, get back in the car, drive back down to DC, and either fall asleep at a rest stop or take it all the way in, go straight to work the next day, and then come home and go to sleep that night. And I did that for years. I did that for
Wow.
probably about 5 years. Then I would drive from DC to North Carolina, from DC to Atlanta, from DC to Philly, from DC. I mean, I was all over the place. I put every single mile on that car. I put on that car. So when they say 10,000 hours, I got the proof. I took a picture of that car. Like, yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of this because ain't nobody gonna believe that I did this. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I put the time in, not just in the craft on the stage, but I put the craft, the time to get there. You know what I'm saying? The preparation time.
right. The
Driving the
legwork.
shows, and legwork.
Yeah.
Learning the people, meeting the people. Learning relationships, and then on top of that, you go to these places, you meet comics, So I did the work. Did the work.
It says a lot to when it comes to comedy, because that's also a form of storytelling. Just being in the comedy realm, there's a lot that goes into storytelling just to tell the joke and just to land the joke. It's not just having a punchline. You actually have to tell the story, and you have to craft that story from beginning to end. When did you know that you were good at writing comedy?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't ever think you. I mean, I guess you think that you're good at it. Like, when did I know? Hmm. I would freestyle. Like, I'm kind
Okay.
of a freestyler.
Uh huh.
Um, a lot of my best jokes are freestyle first.
Right. Right. Okay.
And then once I get in a rhythm of what it's going to be, like, I like to paint the pic. I like to paint on stage. So
Mm-hmm.
one show you might come to would be material that you like. I ain't never heard this before. You might never see that material for two more shows because I done took it out, I done pieced it
Yeah.
together, I done wrote it, I done performed it
Right.
differently. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my writing process. I'm a little different in that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll write something like, oh, I think this is funny, and I'll jot it down, or I'll say it to one of my, comedian homies or something like that. But me personally, my writing process is a little different. Like, I'll say something, like
Mm-hmm.
the last show on the tour, I said I did a whole new set. None of that material I had done before, and I was like, dang, I was like, record all of this. I want to tape it all. And I was like, record it all. So then now I'll go back and piece it together. I'm like, okay, I like this, I like that, I hate this, I hate
Right.
that, take that out, take this out, take this out, put this together. And then I'll add it with something else. And then the next time you see it, it'll be like a whole nother show. You'll be like, oh my God, this was nothing like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's kind of my writing. It's weird, but it's kind of my writing process.
No, that's it's not weird at all. I just to kind of give you a little background with me. I come from the music world. I used to rap,
Okay.
so I understand what you mean by freestyling and coming off top of the dome with the jokes,
Hmm.
and being able to carry that throughout an entire piece is difficult within itself.
Yeah.
So in a way, what you're saying is you're kind of one take hoving it when you're on
Essentially,
stage. Yeah.
essentially, yeah. I mean, I never thought about it like that, but yeah, I mean, essentially, like, some of the stuff that I write down, I'd be like, okay, cool. I might get on stage and scrap all of that. Just be like,
Right.
scrap. I'm gonna paint this picture right here, and it'll
Hmm.
be something that is in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And, like, you see somebody cough or drop a joint, then I go into something. Man, people cough and drop. Man, you ever heard somebody cough, and then I go into a whole bit, like, yeah. And
Yeah.
so for me, that's kind of my writing process, and then if it'll be funny in the moment, but then it'll stick, and then I'll create a whole bit around it. And then it'll
Right.
be something else, and then you see it later, and it's completely different.
Right. So you're able to feed off the audience, but then not only that, take what you got from feeding off the audience and
And
turn
turn
it
it
into
into an actual bit.
right. When you did Problematic,
Hmm.
and that was with Harold Jackson, that was
Hmm.
your first time filming a fully produced stand up show.
First time ever.
First time ever. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched as much as I could, and I thought it was really good. It was a great stand up. I caught it on YouTube.
Oh,
Um,
what did you say on YouTube? Uh,
I believe I caught it on YouTube.
somebody owe me
Um,
some money. No, I'm just playing. uh, uh,
well, sorry to the fact that it's on YouTube,
send me
but
the link.
somebody,
Send me the link.
yeah,
I
I will. If you don't know anything about it, I will. But
never heard that one.
uh, yeah, I
But
was able to catch that, and I like how you guys put that together. And watching it, it really did look like I was watching a full fledged comedy special. Um, so that's pretty dope.
I mean, story behind that, right? So I got a story behind everything. The day that we filming the special, uh,
Mhm.
now I have written. I've never did a special before, right? So, I know we got it's the 22nd, right? So the 22nd date is in my head. It was 21st or 22nd.
Mhm.
And so the date is in my head, so I know that I'm prepping for this, right? Now I don't know how to prepare for a special. I tried to ask some of the comedian OGs, and nobody. That's a whole nother story. Nobody would help, right? And so, because they at that time, none of them had the experience, right?
Right.
And so, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna just have to go in this blind, blind faith or whatever. God lead me through it. And so, I'm literally as we walking into the taping, I'm still writing. I'm writing as we walking into the taping. I'm literally writing as we walk. And then as we sitting backstage, the girl doing my makeup, and I'm transferring what we were writing from the computer to my phone just in case I forgot it, right? So
Mm.
sitting there, boom, 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 and as I'm sitting there, my boy Oro he's running the jokes, and I'm like, tell me that joke, and he's telling it to me, and I'm writing it in my phone, and I'm going over it in my head, and literally I wrote until Harold was like, "You ready?" I was like, not yet. Give me 5 more minutes." You know what I'm saying? And I'm literally writing to the point where he says my name and I walk out on stage. I literally wrote up until that point. I literally wrote up until that point. And so I'm proud of that special. I will say that I'm very proud of that special, but I can do better.
No, and you absolutely did a great job. When I tell you, I'm not blowing smoke or anything like that. I really thought it was a great special, and the fact now that I know that you freestyled some of it and you were writing all the way up until you stepped on stage,
Always,
is crazy.
yeah.
Um,
Literally, he before the curtain call, I was like, "All right, I'm good now. I think I'm good. I think I got this."
I don't know how common that is in the comedy world, in the comedy space, but that's
Probably
pretty amazing.
nobody probably has that story. Nobody probably has that story. Everybody else is prepped weeks in advance. They done toured the material. You know what I mean? And I had a chance to tour some of the material. So I would say out of 10 jokes, 3 of those have been on the road. The rest of that stuff is brand new.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you did. I want to say the special was about 45 minutes.
about 45.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
45.
amazing, man. Um, so transitioning from comedy into acting, how did you? How did that process happen for you?
It was always the goal. It was
It was
always
always the goal.
before. Oddly enough, before I started doing stand up, I was taking acting classes. My very first acting coach was Anjanou Ellis,
Wow.
the one who did the movie with Will Smith, King Richard, his wife and King Richard, and she's in Pootie Tang and a bunch of other stuff. But that was my very, very, very first acting coach ever. And so all the while I was doing stand up, I was always doing acting. So like, I was taking classes in college, left college, doing stand up, in the summer, on the weekends, stuff like that. But I was
Mhm.
always taking acting classes. I was always in class. That was always the goal. I knew that I wanted to be, a double threat. I always wanted to be able to do stand up, lead a stage, go on set, lead a set, go do stand up. Like I always knew that was a trajectory for me on my career, on my path.
Mhm.
Uh, my very first thing that I ever did um, was a web series with a friend of mine, and then that kind of, I got bit by the bug from that, and then I just kept going. I just kept going, and then um, my boy who helped me with the special called me one day. I was outside doing God knows what, and he called me like, "Yo, they doing a table read. This is somewhere you want to be." I'm like, "Man, what are you talking about?" And he like, "Man, it's this movie, man. You want to be there." So I rolled up there, man, and I did it. And it was a small role. And then from there, just more roles, more roles, more roles. Then I got more and more serious with it, and so I just kept going. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
And from there, it was just kind of like, all right, well, now we in it. Let's do the next thing. So literally, actually, when the very first special came out, I had 2 movies that dropped in the same week.
Mm.
That movie, the special dropped on Friday. I had a movie that dropped Wednesday and a movie that dropped Thursday. two Christmas movies. Two Christmas movies, boom, boom, and then I dropped the special on Friday.
Were those films independent?
Uh, define independent.
Okay, as far as they're not like major releases. They don't go through a major studio.
Nah, they both went on BT. They was both released on Christmas. I guess yeah, because it dropped in December. So yeah, that kind of like lead up week of Christmas. Both of
Wow.
them just dropped. So they dropped, and then here come the movie on Amazon. Boom, 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 like
Right.
just like that. And it was like, okay, we here now. You know what I mean? Like, put everybody put on notice. We here now. And so, yeah, man, it's been that kind of journey ever since. Um, so yeah, man, acting is a passion equally as stand up. I will always do stand up. I will always do acting. So I do both. I always say comedian first because comedy opened the door for
Hmm.
me to do more film.
Hmm.
And most of the time when they hit me, they like, oh yeah, we got this role. It's comedic, and I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And then they see that I can do drama, and they like, oh snap, like you can do drama too. Like, yeah, nigga, I can do drama too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of that dual threat, man. So um, yeah, it's I love acting for sure. Love acting.
So you currently star in the series Hush on All Black.
Yeah,
Season 2 is upon us.
it is
Do you know when season 2 drops?
December 7th.
December 7th. Um, can you tell us what Hush is about and the role that you play in the series?
Sure, yeah. So Hush is about a therapy. Well, she's not. Well, I guess she's a doctor. She's a doctor. She's a therapist, and essentially what she does is she has a book that she's trying to write the second iteration of her book,
Mhm.
where she talks about women and why women cheat. And so there's a whole thing about how she's going about getting her research in this particular series. And my role, or my character's role, is kind of like her hitman, her research guy, her everything guy.
Right.
Anything that she needs done, I'm the guy to get it done. You know what I mean? I'm the bodyguard. I'm the
You're the
detective.
fixer.
I'm the fixer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great word. I'm the fixer for her in this particular series, and so what you'll see in season one, which I'm not going to give it all away for those who haven't seen it. What you'll
Mhm.
see in season one is how everything unfolds for her character, Joyful's character, um, Dr. Logan, and my character Q, and the crazy wild things that they get in. And then once you watch that, season two will show you the twists and the turns from season one, and what ends and how it ends in season one, and the pickup of that in season two. So it's very wild. And in this particular season, I go through a whole host of emotions, from crying to suicide. It's a bunch of stuff. So it's
Right.
it's it's one to watch.
Right. And in this role, your role is dramatic. It's not comedic.
No, there's no comedic beats in this role at all.
Yeah.
None. Not one. Not one. Not
what
one.
What did it take for you to get into character and portray Q?
Life.
Mm.
Like a lot of my stuff, I just pull from real life experiences. I don't, some guys they gotta go, I don't know, to the desert and the mountaintop and have an epiphany. I'm not that guy. I mean, I
Right.
pull from my real life experiences because these characters that we portraying are real people, right? And so you gotta layer in that real flavor to it to make it feel real. And
Mhm.
so for me, I kind of layer in my life. Um, and when I layer in my life, it makes it pop, it makes it come alive. Because I'm a real person that lives real life experiences with real people. That's acting.
Right. And you're able to just draw from the things that you've either experienced or even take bits and pieces from maybe family members or friends.
Oh yeah, I mean it's kind of like stand up, right? Like it's like I know this guy over here who's a doctor. Okay, well he got this little quirk or thing that he do. You know what I mean? It's kind of like mimicking in a way. But it's also still taking. You still have to connect to it. So in
Mhm.
me connecting, I still pull a piece of my real life. Like, for Q, what I was able to pull out of my real life is, you know, somebody who you really love, who you would do anything for. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has that person in their life. You know what I mean? So you kind of pull from that, and it's like, okay, now let's layer in the other pieces. Okay, with this. So you kind of gotta, what they call in acting, do the work. But
Mhm.
most of my work is in acting. I pull from my real life. I kind of correlate these people to who correlates to me in real life.
Right, right, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who's the producer or the executive producer, or maybe creator of the show?
The executive producers are Octet Productions, Chuck West and Bree West, the husband and wife team.
Okay.
Um, so they've done that. They've done a lot of different stuff. I've done a couple different projects with them. Um, but they are the executive producers for Hush.
You also recently starred as the lead in Million to One,
Yeah,
which is Harold Jackson's film.
that
Uh,
man. We work.
I guess, what you would call a romantic comedy, a rom com, so to speak.
It's a
Can you talk a little bit about Million to One?
Million to One was a great experience. Uh, Anytime I get to work with Harold Jackson, it's always a great time. The writing is always super crisp. The shooting is always super crisp. It's always a super fun experience. I love working on Million and One. The one thing I will tell you about Harold asked me to jump in the pool and didn't ask me could I swim. We still laugh at that now to this day. I'm like, Harold, you never asked me could I swim, brother. I could have drowned in this 12-foot pool in somebody's backyard. You know what I'm saying? And we laugh about it. But he's like, man, I knew you could do it. I was like, you ain't know I could swim, man. You ain't. It don't say nowhere on my forehead swimmer. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, so I mean, it was an amazing experience to come home and shoot that in Washington D.C. Um,
Mhm.
a rom com, first lead role in the feature, and it's really like a rom com family type of
Right.
vibe. Um,
Yeah.
so that was super dope. That was super amazing to do. Um, and I was, man, I was more than pleased to work with the cast. The cast was amazing. You know what I mean? From Brianna to Mike to
Mhm.
Ashley to Donnie to Harold. I mean, it was a tight knit, tight crew, but it was
Right.
an amazing experience, man. We had a great time. It was
Yeah.
a phenomenal movie.
I know several of the cast members. I've met Donnie a couple times, and I recently just met Mike. I got to get him on an interview, so that way I could talk to them as well.
Oh yeah,
And I'm familiar with Brianna because she did a short for another filmmaker named Eric Yang in New York. And I have that film. That short film is on the blackscript.com.
that's
That's what made me familiar with Brianna. Um,
Yano.
she's a
Yeah.
good actress, man. Really
Oh,
good.
I love
Yeah.
Bree's my girl, man. That's my dog, man. She can go, she can act her tail off, man. She's super cool person, great vibes, man. There's
Right.
always good energy when Bree is around, man. She's amazing for sure, amazing.
Let me ask you, and it could be just the simple fact that you already had been working with Harold, but
Yeah.
how did you land these roles? Did you go for an audition process, or was this something that Harold just kind of saw?
I don't know if I should
It,
tell you that because that's kind of my secret. No, I'm just joking. Harold actually called me, man. Me and Harold talk pretty frequently. We talk about just industry stuff. Where the industry's going.
Mhm.
I'm always, in any business relationship with anybody that I meet, I'm always got him in mind because he always keeps me in mind. And he called me one day, and we were talking. We had been talking about, man, we got to work on a joint, man. We need to get a joint, man. We got to get us a joint, man. Like we got to
Yeah.
get us another joint in the can, man. We did this special, man. We need a joint, man. And he called me one day. He said, "Man, what you doing?" I said, "Man, I don't. I'm I'm working, figuring some stuff out. What's good?" He was like, "Man, I got a joint." I said, "Man, what is it?" He's like, "I'm gonna let you know it's not finished yet, but I call you in 3 days, and we're gonna talk about it." And he literally called me in 3 days. He had finished that script, and
Wow.
man, he'd be cranking them joints out. But he had finished the joint. He's like, "Man, I want you to read it. Tell me what you think." I got through the first 5 pages. I said, "Man, let's go." He said, "Did you read the whole thing?" I said, "Man, I don't need to read nothing else, man. Let's go." And then I ended up finishing, and I was like, "Man, this is a phenomenal joint, man. This is one of them feel good, like early '90s, you know what I mean, family vibe, like
Yeah.
one of them." And he was like, "Man, yeah, man." He was like, "Yeah, I think we got one." And that's kind of how I got it. That's kind of how I got the role. I mean, I think a lot of times Harold writes with who he wants in mind.
Hmm.
So it's really not a casting process, but I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. I know that me and him was talking about we need to get a joint. We need to get a joint. We need to get a joint. And so, that's kind of how it happened. And like I told him, I said, bro, I got, I'm cooking this next special up. You know what I'm saying? I hope I hope you're ready. You know what I'm saying? He like, man, just call me with the date and the information, details, da 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 da. So and that's
Right.
kind of how we kind of flow. It's like, look, you got this one, I got the next one. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's kind of our relationship. And I know he's knee deep in two joints. I think he got a joint now. He just dropped a
Yeah.
joint, man.
Iceman. Yeah.
Yeah, he
And
just
I spoke with him about a month, maybe a month and a half ago, and he told me that that was what he was gearing up to film. No, he had another film before Iceman. What is it called?
million to one,
Um, what'd you say?
million to one.
Million to One. No, so it was after Million to One because when I talked to him, we discussed Million to One.
Yep,
But he had another film about somebody robbing somebody of their talent. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
marvelous.
But I think it was like the novelist. Yes.
I
And
know,
then
I know all this junk.
yeah, he told me about Iceman also, and he said Iceman's coming sometime in December. And I didn't think that he was going to have these things knocked out like back
he
to back
shoot,
to back.
he shoot and edit his own joints, man. He Spike Lee who, man? This dude is vicious, man. He's like that, man. He, hey, man, he cold, man. This is a cold brother, man. He's a
Yeah,
cold
and
brother.
they look amazing. They sound amazing. Um,
Cold, man.
it's yeah, real good quality, man. Real good
He's
quality.
a talented brother, man. He's shouts out to Harold Jackson, man. I can never thank that man enough. You know, Harold has gotten me some looks that I otherwise wouldn't have gotten. He
Hmm.
he stepped out there on a limb when nobody was willing to step out there, and I'm forever grateful to that man um, for what he does for me and for what he does for other actors in this industry and keeping us working as African American artists. You know, throughout these times, man, and being independent, and being independent, like you gotta put your hats off to that, like.
Right.
I don't know who put out no projects fast. I think he put out projects faster than Tyler Perry. Like, you know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? And yeah, I mean, him and Tyler neck and neck. He only difference Tyler got a studio. He ain't got his yet. I'm gonna just say that. I'm
It's,
gonna put the yet on
hey,
there.
it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. If he keep working the way he's working with that work ethic,
Man,
it'll be here in no time.
man, the way he putting them joints out, man. I don't even. I said, man, when you sleep, man.
Right.
There ain't
Right.
no way you sleeping in all these joints, man. You got 8 joints come out in 2 months. I said, ain't no way you sleeping, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. How do you balance staying true to a script's humor and adding your own comedic flair?
I always ask anytime I'm a part of a project, I say, are you stuck to what's on the page? And that's literally what I ask. It don't matter what project I'm on. I
Yeah.
ask, like I just worked with Jamal Hill. Shouts out to Jamal Hill, super director. And I said, Jay, are you stuck to what's on this page? And he was like, I mean, nah, you can kind of you can dress it up. I said, okay, if you giving me creative control to dress it up, I'm gonna stick to the parameters what you give me here, but I
Hmm.
see something else. And he like, well, give me what you see. And so I'll do one, like, well, what you want, I'm gonna give you exactly what you want. I'm gonna give you what you want. Then I'm gonna say, well, let me get one. Let me get one. I'm gonna
Right.
ask, let me get one. And then I'm gonna give you what I think. And then I'm gonna say, let's blend it. Let's blend what you got and what I got. And then you choose the best one, whatever you got from there, then you got it. But that's kind of how I typically run. I'm gonna give you what you want. I'm gonna do one because I wanted to show you how I paint it, what I'm gonna paint, and then we can paint together. And so that's kind of how I move. Um, when it's in script form, uh, I don't really touch it in script form. I don't really. It's almost like I treat writing and the art like stand up. I don't really like to create. If we in a table read, I'm gonna read what you got. But
Right.
when we get on set and we get in the game, I'm like, let me do something different, or let me play right here, because now I'm feeling the energy. We here, the lights are set up. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna stay within these parameters, but I can feel my partner, and my partner is giving me a certain energy. You know, the set and the scenery is giving me a certain energy, and so I know I kind of, because I do stand up, I know what's going to be funny, and I know
Right.
what you're gonna be able to capture in a moment and in a period of time, and we're gonna have that forever. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that's kind of just it's kind of my writing process just coming together in a different form, I guess.
Right. But not only that, it's you're on top of you doing stand up, you're also feeding off the energy of whatever the scene is, and whoever you're bouncing
Yeah,
your lines off
it's
of.
always energy. It's energy. You know what I mean? It's all energy. And but also I write too, so I know funny, and I know
Right.
timing, and I know how it's going to land with certain things that I say. I know what's going to land. I'm like even when we doing Million and One, I would ask Harold in between takes. I'm like, you married to that? And he'd be like, well, give me one so I can see what it looked like, and then and then I want to hear what you think, and I'll be like, well, look, this is what I'm seeing right here. I think that in this instance, the character would do a little something different. I think he might not necessarily say it like that. Well, how would you say it? I said I would stretch it a little bit. Stretching
Hmm.
it, give it a little bit something different right here. I think it'll give a pizzazz that we looking for, because he's supposed to be drinking, and you know what I mean. So that he be like, I like that. Let's go with that. You know what I mean. So it's kind of it's a collaborative effort. Like we all artists, you know what
For
I mean?
sure.
And so to get the
Yeah.
best version of the art, we gotta collaborate.
Right. Right. Um. Okay. So we've already talked about timing. But let me ask you, how do you approach perfecting the timing of your delivery, especially when a role is written for you? And I know you already kind of touched on that with the energy, but when you're reading it, can you grasp the comedic side of it, especially if it's a comedy script,
Yeah,
or a comedic script? You can already tell where the joke is supposed to land.
I know the beats as soon as I read it, and if it's off, I can tell you. It's like music. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's like music, right? So when you hear music, it's like a F sharp don't belong there. It's like, ooh, that's off. Somebody off. Y'all not y'all. Hey, back
Yeah.
line. Y'all need to pick it up, because that drum is off, and
The
it and
rhythm is not there.
that horn don't. Comedy is rhythm, and
Yeah.
if it's not right, I hear it, and I'm like, this is off, and I could
Mm.
tell you that it's off, and then when we fix it, and then everybody laugh, you like there it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean I can kind of see comedy like people see music. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? It's like that's off. Even when I hear a joke, I might be sitting in the comedy club, and I'll hear a joke, and I'm like, and I'll take a note, and I just put it in my phone. And I
Mhm.
might walk up. I mean, this is what most comics do. So, I mean, some are more selfish than others, but I'll walk up and be like, hey, man, I got two tags for you. When you said this, it should sound like this. I would rephrase it like this and do this. And they're like, oh, man, thank you. I'm like, no, I tried. And then
Yeah.
I'll see them maybe a month from there, or 2 weeks from there. And they're like, yo, I tried that joint, man, and it hit. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. You know what I mean? And it's not like on no cocky stuff, but it's kind of like I said, I see it. I see comedy. I see jokes like Maestro sees
Right.
you know what I'm saying,
These the notes, the
a
musical
genre
notes.
symbol or something. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's one of those things. Like if I read a script and I'm like, this joint ain't got no comedy, and they be like, oh, no, it's a comedy, it's a romance it's a rom com. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
it ain't. This is a drama. It's
Let
got two
me
in it.
let me ask you this: is there a such thing as a comedic coach, a
Yeah,
comedy coach?
yeah,
Okay.
coach.
I know there's acting coaches out there, but as far as for stand up comedians, is there a such thing as
Yeah,
being okay?
yeah. My cousin is a comedy coach.
Okay.
Um, Teray Gordon out of Philly, who a comedy legend, actually one of Kevin Hart's OGs. Uh, teaches a class. He has a class at the university, I think of I think it's a Philadelphia. I don't know. I need to ask him. But he
Mhm.
teaches a class and he coaches comedy. You can go to classes. I mean, like most of the improvs around the country have um classes where they teach comedy, and so like somebody will come in and they'll I want to do comedy. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, you know what I mean? Like we'll show you how to write. I mean, because really comedy is writing first,
Right.
and
Right.
then you get to all of the other stuff. It's like I can hear it, I can see it, I can, oh, you should put an act out right here. You should call forward right here. This deserves a call back right here. You need to tag this 3 times. So it's like once you get into it and you learn it's like playing football. You could be garbage, and then once you learn the mechanics of how to throw the football,
Mhm.
if you practice enough, you'll get good at it. But I think a lot of times people don't put the time in. I literally told you I put 400,000 miles on a Honda. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And in
Right.
those moments, not only am I by myself, I'm with other comedians. We talking, we shooting the shit. We talking about different jokes. We like, hey dog, that was always funny, man. When you said this and when you did this, man, that was funny. So it's innately you getting it all at one. You're not getting it all in one sitting, but you getting it. And the more you sit around it, you become it. And it's like you sit in church long enough, you're gonna be able to quote Bible scriptures.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it's kind of it's whatever you feed the body, the mind, the
Mhm.
brain is what it regurgitates out. And I think, yeah, you can definitely have a comedy coach. I mean,
Okay.
they do it for award shows, you know what I mean? Like they'll write a joke or,
That's true. I
Will
didn't.
Smith or whoever, and they'll
I
coach
didn't.
you timing.
Right. I didn't think about that, and I know there's a lot of late night shows that have comedic writers as well.
100%.
But I didn't think that there would be a such thing as like a comedic coach or somebody who
I mean, we
would
don't
coach you.
call it a coach. I mean, we call it a writer. You know what I
Got.
mean? But they
Mhm.
will coach you on timing. Like if I was writing for you and you were doing this show, right? And I would
Mhm.
say, well, ask Rob this question, and then you would say it like, oh, what's your favorite color? And I was like, well, we'll drop your tone on this part right here and
Mhm.
take
Mhm.
it up right here. So then it'll just coach you. I mean, that's not the specifics,
Right,
but
but it'll give that feeling
it'll
that
give that
that
feel. You know what I mean? So then it's kind of in that way. Yeah,
I got you. Yeah.
yeah,
Which do you find more challenging, comedic acting or doing stand up?
acting for sure, acting.
Okay.
Um, because
So
comedy,
being
I'm
in front of a live audience doesn't scare
no
you at all.
at all, at
Okay.
all, at all. I'm most free at that point because I can say whatever, I can do whatever. I'm not held to somebody's opinion. You can't
Mhm.
tell me to cut and say that over. It's my thoughts, my microphone, my time. You know what I mean? On
Yeah.
set, I'm on somebody else's time, somebody else's dime, and
Mhm.
usually I gotta say your words the way you want me to say them. So, and I'm not saying it any differently, but I think that stand up for me is when I feel the most free.
Mhm.
Um, I love to act because I think that that's kind of a cool way to portray stories and like leave something different because live shows you don't necessarily um, you leave somebody with a lasting impression in the moment, right? But it's like feelings is fleeting, so they'll go out tomorrow and then they might remember the joke, but it's not like a movie. Like when you watch a good movie, when you watch Soul Food or
Yeah.
Friday, I mean, it's quotables. You know what I'm saying? Like you watch the stuff, so stand up has that same effect. But unless you put it on tape and tape a special, it's going to probably leave somebody's mind. And they'll be like, oh, where did I hear that from? You hear people like, where did I hear
Exactly.
that from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you heard it from a comic, but you think it was a movie.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So yeah, it's that in that way. So I think comedy, that's why I always say comedy first, because for me, it's the most free and it's where I have the most creative control. Until once I start putting these movies out.
Yeah.
Then
I was going to ask you, being that you're also a writer, are is that something that you're looking to get into? Is writing your own scripts, your own screenplays,
on the
your
way.
own? Okay.
They on the way. I got a script I gotta cover right now. So I'm literally working on one. It will. Well, I don't know we're looking to finish. The writing is done. We're looking to get the budget greenlit and
Mm.
filmed sometime in 2024. So that's one. I have another one coming behind that one, called Girl Crazy, which I'm going to greenlight myself. And then
Wow.
I got probably two or three more after that. I just don't know. I just don't know. I got to go through my catalog and see which ones I want to drop.
So your grind is just as strong as Harold's, man.
I learned it from Harold. I said, okay, all right, brother. I got to put my hat in this pond, man. I can't
Right.
let you have all the fun, brother.
But I think that's cool because and that's another thing about comedians and just the comedy stance of how you guys approach the business is more of a grassroots, um, door to door. I don't want to say starving artists, but you guys are hustlers. Um,
Yeah,
you hustle to get it, and I feel like by bringing that same energy into the acting space and that in the film world, um, you apply pressure differently than maybe your average actor, um,
yeah,
um, because you already have that mindset, you already have that work ethic to go, which uh, says a lot for people like Kevin Hart,
yeah,
who have been able to show a new pathway to get to things faster by just working
yeah,
nonstop
yeah,
and showing the work along the way to prove to people that it can be done differently.
yeah. Shout out to Kev. I was
Hmm.
signed with Kev in 2013. Um, so I was under their camp in 2013. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from being over there. Success leaves clues, and he has left a lot of clues on to how to be successful, how to
Right.
put your friends on, how to be a businessman, how to keep things moving, how to consistently drop a special, how to, how to work those things. And I think Kevin's formula has worked for him and is a
Hmm.
formula that will work for others if they follow the formula that he has. Um, so, I mean, shouts out to Kevin, man.
What's your stance on that as far as how the independent world has seen a almost a drastic rise within the last couple of years, especially with Tubi, um,
I like
and some of these other streaming platforms that have come into play. I feel like it's opened a lot more doors, not only just for independent actors and filmmakers, but for a lot of talent of color.
this is the age of the independent. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Tyler Perry has shown. I didn't get to fully watch the documentary, but I will watch it probably tonight or tomorrow. But he has shown that the independent route is ultimately the route. If you want the control, if you want the say so, if you want to be able to make a mark in Hollywood, and do it your way. Because a
Hmm.
lot of times what has happened before is they were telling our stories and telling us how we would tell our stories, right? And so for a large extent, a lot of those stories you were like, that ain't how we would act. Or you would get a lot of hood this or, black men shooting each other and that. And so that then
Mm.
is ingrained in us mentally. And so when we have that mentally, then we act out and we react to what you see. We
Mm.
reacting to what we see and what we hear, right? So those are two of the biggest forms of media. And so if we're not taking part or partaking into the creative process of it, you can only get but so mad at what you actually send on the screen. So I think that this era is the era of independence. It allowed people to open up and say, you know what, we really don't have to have a $10 million budget to get this movie done. We could do it for
Right.
250,000, and it's
Hmm.
equally as good. All right,
Hmm.
cool. You know what I mean? So I think that that's kind of where we are. I think that it's good and bad. I think where it's good is because projects are actually getting made and turned over, for independence, right? But where I think is bad is you don't have those big budgets anymore, right? So you're going to lose $10 million box office blockbuster. Ain't no such thing as a blockbuster no more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that. Remember that whole thing is like, oh man, I can't. I'm gonna get 5 blockbusters. Like that's my goal in my career. My man,
Right.
blockbuster ain't even open no more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That don't even exist. So you got to change your terminology. You need a Netflixer. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? No, you know what I mean? Like the terminology has completely shifted. You know what I'm saying? And to a certain extent, you're not even seeing, like, you see your favorite actor on Tubi.
You do.
You
You
know what I'm
do now.
saying? So it's like, does it really matter? Like
Mm.
movie theater, people really not going. Like you really see the reality of what it is. It's like it don't matter how people consume the content. Just that they can consume the content on a platform that's right for them, whether it be Tubi, whether it be Netflix, whether it be Amazon.
Mm.
Is the story good? Is the
Right.
movie good? If it's good, it's going to be talked about. Word of
Mm.
mouth is the best form of marketing. And then once you let that thing out and you put some marketing around it, then it's going to do what it's supposed to do. So I think that this era right here, I'm excited for this era because this era is going to allow the independence to really flourish. It kind of reminds me of like the black exploitation. I don't know if a lot of
Yes.
people know
Yes.
film, but they don't really know that. But like that era was dope. It was Black Dolomite.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Shaft. It was, you got all of them joints. Like you got a bunch of joints like from that era, and I think that's kind of where we are. Things happen reciprocally in the 10-year increments. And so I
Mm.
think that's where we are. We're at that 10-year increment where all of that old stuff is out the window, right?
Right.
Big corporations are not going away, but they're going to switch how they function.
Right. They're gonna make a shift.
No, it's shifting. There's no way that I live in Hollywood. I see it every day.
Mm.
There's no way that they can't shift. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They can't keep up. You can't, as a Disney, Walt Disney can't even keep up with Zeus. Zeus is a network that's $5.99. Or let's take Disney away. VH1. Your
Yeah.
whole business model has always been, we're gonna take drama, reality shows and put it on TV. Well, Zeus has stolen your whole demographic and is charging $5.99 a month.
Hmm.
Network
Yeah.
dead. Kill it. Network dead. So then what do you have? You have to go then change your business model or can't beat them, join them.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
you're gonna have a switch of the pendulum, and you're gonna see a lot of um, different streamers popping up, and these streamers are going to take the face of what production is and what it's going to be moving into the next 20 to 30 years of the business. Mark my words.
No, I 1000% agree with you. Yeah, we're just in a different era. I'm excited for this era. I feel like it does provide more opportunity,
Yeah,
um, and you can get a lot more projects out there. Even like, unlike what you said as far as the budget, I didn't even think about the budget aspect of things, but
yeah,
the fact that you're able to to do like what you and Harold are doing is knocking out these projects back to back to back, and can produce a lot of content is pretty dope to me. And the fact that it can get out there and you guys can actually make money, and it's a whole new business model that right now is kind of like the wild wild west, but eventually,
what Harold calls it, the Wild Wild West.
yeah.
Yeah, but then
Yeah, so
at some point it becomes structured. You know
right.
what I'm saying? It becomes. I mean, we're in the game right now where content is king, right? And
Hmm.
whoever has the most content is the king. And
Right.
so then we'll get back to the networks, the streamers. It'll be the streamers now because it won't be studios. It'll be the streamers, or it'll be studios owned by the streamers, or streamers owned by studios. Then they'll take back some form of control. But you got to figure out what's working. And Tubi is killing right now. People can
Yeah.
say what they want, but they're giving free content
Right.
to consumers and letting you watch it all day long. It's like TV. Like, you remember when TV was good and it was free, everybody was watching it. And then they making money off the ad. So it's an ad rev share model.
Yeah. AVOD.
They
Hmm.
yeah. And so,
Exactly.
you know, that's kind of where we at with it.
Yeah. So your tour, let's talk real quick about your tour. What's the next city or cities that you're looking to go to for this tour?
Man, we got December 27th. We in the 757. We coming to the seven cities, the Hampton Roads area, Vibe Beach, Keys Town. We coming down. So I'll be at the Virginia Beach Funny Bone, December 27th. Man, I'm excited about that one.
Hmm.
First stop on the tour, going to a comedy club. So
That's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, man, we got to make this thing shake.
Yeah. And you're locking in each one of these dates yourself,
Yeah,
all the venues. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah. Lot of work going into these things, man. A lot of phone calls, a lot of, what's this, what's that. It's a lot of preparation and planning. Um,
Mhm.
you know, God be the glory, but prayerfully I get somebody to come in and help and make my job easier.
Absolutely.
But until then, we independent.
Yeah. No, that's it's still a dope accomplishment, and the fact that you're able to move how you're moving is awesome within itself.
Appreciate it, man.
Um, Lastly, I like to give everybody a final word,
Yeah.
whether it be advice, words of encouragement, or words of wisdom, or a maybe a famous quote that you live by.
Mm, I got so many. Uh, uh, I would say success leaves clues. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Mm,
Um, Piss poor performance, piss poor preparation equals piss poor performance. And I would say, push towards your dreams and laugh at the people who say it's not possible, because only you know.
yeah.
When you got your dreams, it wasn't a conference call. It was one call. So
Hmm.
only you know what the magnitude of that dream is and who that dream affects. But if you don't go after that dream, the people that are not affected by that dream are affected by that dream. So you might as well go after it, because you either going to build yours or build somebody else's, but you're gonna build a dream one way or another.
Absolutely, man. Well, Rob Gordon, man, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time, your knowledge, your insight. I truly appreciate it. You have a good one.
All
Stay
right, brother.
blessed.
Love.